Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of our favorite actors in Hollywood going by the name of Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt, of course, is a very funny, very entertaining, and talented actor who is also pretty based. I mean, it's kind of undercover based, it's kind of secretly based. He's not super overtly political, but many have come to figure out that he does seem to support a lot of right-leaning, a lot of conservative values. He's a church-going man, he's married, he has a kid in a family, he's a straight white male. He lines up with all these things in a lot of ways that are things that the left are really mad about. Now, being a Christian or a conservative doesn't necessarily have to do with race or gender or family, but it is more of the things that get Chris Pratt in trouble. See, the fact that he doesn't kowtow to liberal politics, he doesn't support their candidates and openly share things about politics, liberals, social justice stuff, that's what really makes the left hate him. And also, he's highly successful, so that of course means they're going to come after him even more, since Chris Pratt of course stars in Marvel movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, he stars in the new Jurassic Park movies, he's been in Passengers movie, all kinds of big stuff have been going on in his career over the past 5 or so years, and that's why he's been attacked over and over again. We've talked about it repeatedly here on the show. We've talked about how they've tried to attack Chris Pratt for going to the wrong church. They tried to say he hates alphabet people. They acted like one of the shirts that he wore one time that had like a "Don't Tread on Me" symbol on it. They said that made him a racist. And now we have a news story in a similar vein, another attempt to go after Chris Pratt in a pretty unfair way. And it has to do with his brother. As you can see by this tweet right here, it says, New York Post posted, it says, Chris Pratt, law enforcement brother, reportedly supports far-right groups. So you got a picture of Chris Pratt brother. They look like fine gentlemen. Nothing to see here. Nothing really an issue here either. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem if your brother, sister, parents, cousins, whatever, they should be able to believe what they want. It doesn't necessarily mean it even lines up with Chris Pratt. Now, it is very likely, we could tell by some of the other things going on in Chris Pratt's life, it seems like he does support things like this. He supports things like probably law enforcement. That's probably another reason this story is coming up, because the left hates cops. They want to defund the police and blame every single crime on the cops, which is pretty ridiculous. It's kind of like blaming your plumber when your toilet breaks down. It's like, hey, the guy, the plumber, he's trying to come in and fix your problem and you're blaming it on him. And that's pretty much what the left does with cops whenever they arrest a criminal, specifically if they arrest a minority or certain minorities that are a privileged class according to leftists. Well, that means they're going to attack the cops for arresting that criminal and pretend the criminal didn't do anything wrong. That's a whole other story, but it has to do with this Chris Pratt one, because apparently his brother is working in law enforcement. That to me is an honorable position. I think a lot of other people, a lot of sane people realize that many cops are heroes. They're out there cleaning up the streets. They're pretty close to garbage men, honestly. I mean, not to be disrespectful, but in a way, they are cleaning up a lot of trash out there. Probably more dangerous, definitely dirtier stuff they have to deal with. And that's what brings us to this story. You can see New York Post kind of trying to paint this as a bad thing, like, oh, he supports a far-right group. So his brother supporting a far-right group is somehow going to make Chris Pratt offensive. And the other thing to note here is, like, far-right is a typical buzzword. It really doesn't mean anything. They try to use that word and say, hey, this person's far-right, and they pretend you're like a serial killer or something. Like, if you're far-right, according to these newspapers and people posting it and people using that term to try to sway people, I mean, they say you're far-right. They're trying to say you're equivalent to a criminal, like you should go to jail because you're far-right, when really the truth is far-right can be anyone who's not liberal, anyone who's like right of AOC or someone really far to the left like Bernie Sanders. Like, if you're not as far left socialist as Bernie Sanders, they'll say you're far right, even if you're maybe a Democrat or a middle person, centrist, or a moderate conservative, maybe like a fiscal conservative, social democrat, like anything like that is called far right, and that's considered criminal offense. And at the same time, you can't really see far left being used that way. I mean, I don't consider it that way. I mean, I've called people far left. I've said, hey, your politics are far to the left. But to me, that doesn't mean they're a criminal. It means I disagree with them. It means I think they're wrong about things. But you'll see over time, if you notice this kind of trend, claiming something's far right in the media is them basically trying to say you're a murderer. So with that said, let's read on into this article and see how ridiculous this gets, because already, as you could tell, I'm a big Chris Pratt fan. I've never seen him actually do anything wrong. I've seen a lot of people try to attack him for all those reasons we mentioned before. But the truth is, even some of his left-wing friends, like the Avengers, all those actors stood up for him one time saying he's just not even that political. Like, he might have a conservative background, conservative beliefs, but he's not even that outspoken, which is what makes this even worse. A California sheriff's official, who also happens to be the brother of Jurassic World star Chris Pratt, was outed as a supporter of a far-right anti-government group linked to the Capitol Hill riot, according to a report. Daniel Coley Pratt, a sergeant with the Solano County Sheriff's Office, has shown his support for the 3%er movement on social media by using hashtags such as 3%er will not comply and the group's slogan. An investigation by the nonprofit news site Open Vallejo reveals. Pratt posted a photo on Instagram in October 2016 showing him with a wood display he made for his colleague Sergeant Roy Stockton, according to the outlet. The handmade wooden sign features Stockton's AR-15 rifle and symbols associated with the 3%er group. At least one 3%er member has been charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol riot, the outlet reported. So here's the picture in question. Apparently, it looks to me like it's some kind of like pro-Second Amendment thing. It's got a weapon. It's a parody of the California flag, I believe. Typically, there's a bear right here. I think that's what they're going for, in my opinion. I don't see anything wrong here so far. I've heard some things about 3%ers being maybe having bad things involved with them. I don't know much about the group. I don't care much about it. What I do care about is people slandering Chris Pratt because his brother has a picture on Instagram. That's pretty ridiculous. Neither of them appear to have done anything wrong. If they've done something wrong, it should be brought up in court. They should be arrested or taken out of the public life. I don't think that's true. That's just me going to an extreme, showing you how that's what would really happen if we were being fair and like doing this the right way. The Anti-Defamation League refers to the extremist group as a militia movement that began in 2009. The term 3%er refers to the erroneous belief that only 3% of colonists fought against the British during the Revolutionary War, but achieved liberty for everybody, the ADL says. 3%ers view themselves as modern-day versions of those revolutionaries fighting against a tyrannical U.S. government rather than the British, the organization added. Solano County Sheriff Thomas Ferrer defended his employees. I am not aware of one instance where any of these employees acted in a manner that was portrayed in this article, Ferrer said in the statement to KOVR, adding that he approached his deputies about Open Vallejo's article. The sheriff said the employees told me their intention was to support the Second Amendment and the Constitution. So that's exactly what I was guessing. It seems like a benign movement inspired by the revolution, inspired by Americans who revolted against the British in a revolutionary war. That was the war that created this country. That's a pretty respectable thing. But the problem is, honestly, like the way I see it now is if that happened, like the liberals are against the American Revolution. It sounds funny to say, but they're kind of like saying, oh, these guys were traitors. They refused to pay taxes to the British. They refused to adhere to the British laws. They're terrorists. They're calling people that support America terrorists. And I guess there might be a way to justify that, like in a way, like if you go from the British angle, their colonies revolting, they might call that terrorism. But I mean, are you going to ignore all the history of all these stories? Like, American Revolution was just and justified. It created our country. It gave us freedom. It gave us all this kind of platform. Eventually, it led to our founders creating our Constitution and this great country, which grew to these 50 states. America is the best. And I think the point here is, the reason I'm bringing that up is this is anti-American. This is anti-American. This is anti-conservative in a lot of ways, like anti-Chris Pratt, of course. And I think it's very, very far-reaching as well. Like, I think this is a typical kind of attack on Americans, on conservatives, on people like Chris Pratt, who, again, is not even outspokenly political. He's not a super political guy. He might think these things. I'm sure he has some of these thoughts. It could be assumed. You could tell by the way he acts, things he's worn and said and not supported, has supported, the way he lives his life. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think the point is, and the reason I want to bring this up is that they're just going after anyone that thinks wrong. This is wrong think again. This is something we've talked about before. This is something I've been affected by. I've lost my job because I voted for the wrong candidate in the last election. I supported him with videos, so they took away my money. I currently am being blackballed, shadow banned. No one can find my videos. I can't make money anymore. My family's starving. All that kind of stuff is going on in the background, but that's what's going on. This is cancel culture. This is the left using dirty tricks, trying to deplatform you, trying to defund you, trying to take you to the back and say, hey, you're not going to win. You don't deserve a voice. You don't deserve to stand up and exist. You can't have your own space. They cannot handle anyone who doesn't think their way. And it shows how weak they are. It shows that they can't accept differences. They're not really as accepting. Like, they claim to be all about diversity and accepting everyone and nice to those people. But the truth is, they only are accepting of people that agree with them 100%. If you don't agree with the liberal mainstream narrative, they're going to kick you off. They're going to get you out of the space. They're going to try to go after you. You might still succeed. It's apparent that Chris Pratt is still succeeding despite all this drama, but they're certainly trying. Like, this is one of maybe 10 attempts. I've gone over at least a couple in videos. Some of them I couldn't even get to, but the point is, cancel culture is strong. Luckily, Chris Pratt is surviving despite all this drama. Hopefully, this show can move forward too. We're trying to coast through a couple months. Hopefully, monetization comes back one day. But for now, we're just making videos. I'm doing this for fun. I'm looking around. I might have to find another job, do this part-time or something like that. But I'm not going to let them stop us. I'm still going to keep my voice out there, as should you. Don't give up the fight. This is what we have to do in this day and age. It's the underdog movement. They are not going to help us. No one is going to help us. No one is going to help you. That's just something you got to remember. You got to do your own thing, live your own life, be happy, and try to do and use models like Chris Pratt, who has had a lot of adversity against him just for simply possibly maybe being a conservative. And he's not even outspoken. And then just think about people like us who are fully outspoken. Like, there's no wonder someone like me lost my job, got fired unfairly, wrongful termination, and all those other kinds of mad, bad tactics they use against us. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Subscribe if you're new and hit that bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day.